Joining us to talk about this, Senator James Paterson is a Liberal senator, part of the government, Liberal senator for Victoria. Good afternoon.
Thanks for having me, Raf.
He's gone. Why are you keeping on pushing this issue if he's resigned?
Well, because it's not just an issue for Sam Dastyari, it's an issue for Bill Shorten as well. I mean, Sam Dastyari should have gone weeks ago. As soon as it became apparent that he was coaching someone that he believed was of interest to Australian and allied security agencies, he coached them how to avoid the scrutiny of those agencies. From that very moment, he should have gone. All the other stuff is bad, but in my view, that is the most serious, and Bill Shorten should have taken action from day one, and he didn't. He let it run for weeks and weeks and weeks.
He's been described as treasonous, and in fact, the Immigration Minister, Peter Dutton, says he is, quote, a double agent. That's overreach, isn't it? Double agent?
It's strong language, but it is an exceptional series of events. I mean, we now know
he's a double agent?
Well, Senator Dastyari accepted money from people who were foreign citizens and were attempting to influence Australian foreign policy. He did a range of things to benefit those people. It's not clear whether that was linked. But one of the things he did was he pushed their line of argument in a Senate Estimates Committee with our most senior defence officials. He pestered them with 115 questions.
I agree there's problems there.
I mean,
double agent. Is double agent too strong, James Paterson?
Well, no, I think it's appropriately strong in the circumstances. I mean, imagine if it was another power that, let's say the United States or anyone else, that was paying money to a senator to settle their personal bills, and then that senator went in, used the powers of the Senate, the powers of the Senate system to advance their interests. I think most Australians would agree that is representing not your own citizens and your own country's interests, but another country's interests.
Senator James Paterson is with me. Senator, I don't know I think you're on a landline. We're just getting the odd clunk on that line. So I'm just going to ask you to be as still as possible, and we'll just see if that fixes up the little issue. Can I ask you about the by-election in Bennelong, only because there's a significant number of voters in that seat born in China or with parents born in China. I think it's about 20% of the people in that seat. Do you think you're going to hit the Liberal vote in that seat by going so hard on this issue around Sam Dastyari?
I find this to be a very strange argument. I mean, is the argument because Australian citizens who are enrolled to vote in Bennelong and will vote on Saturday have Chinese heritage, that they're in some way less than loyal to Australia and that they're going to allow the interest of a foreign nation to dictate their votes on Saturday? I mean, I just don't think that's true
the argument,
at all.
I guess, is that you might be being a bit shrill, linking and being a little too paranoid about China influence in Australia. It's a vague term, but saying it repeatedly might scare people off in Bennelong. That's the argument.
I think that's a very patronising attitude to take towards these voters. I believe they're as patriotic and as loyal to Australia as any other Australian citizen is. And like any other Australian citizen, they don't like the idea of any foreign country, China included, intervening inappropriately in our domestic politics.
What about the fact that the man at the centre of this, Wang Zhamo, his company's given far more to the Liberal Party than the Labor Party? Does that neuter some of your arguments?
Well, there's a difference between giving money through a legitimate political donation and paying someone's personal financial debts. I think there's a clear difference there. One is, which is obviously that they're appropriately declared and disclosed through the normal political system. Anyone is entitled to donate to an Australian political party, but I don't think anyone can say there's any evidence that he's gotten any benefit from donating to the Liberal Party. It appears he got some serious benefits from donating to Sam Dastyari.
A benefit in terms of what? The changed position at the press conference or something else?
Well, I'm not aware of any Liberal senator that went into estimates to run his line for 115 questions or did anything like suggest that we should take a softer line on the South China Sea.
We learned yesterday there's a Liberal Party fundraising unit, the 500 Club in WA. There will be officials of the Chinese Communist Party, government officials, at a Liberal Party fundraiser. Do you think that's okay?
It sounds like an unusual fundraising event. I've certainly never attended one like that here in Victoria, but I don't have the full details, Raf. I'm not sure exactly what's envisaged at that event.
But that, in principle, I haven't heard of officials from another government going to a party political fundraiser. It's about the belt, China's big investment around the world. But is it acceptable or not to have government officials from another country helping a political party to raise money?
It is unusual, Raf, but as I said, I don't know the full details of that event, except to say that I've never attended one like that in Victoria.
Unusual or acceptable?
It's certainly unorthodox.
Not willing to condemn it?
Well, without knowing the full details, it would be not right of me to condemn it. I should wait until I'm fully informed, but I haven't seen it, Raf.
I should point out, we did ask for interviews with the opposition leader and the shadow cabinet today. None were available. Senator Paterson, just a bit of prognostication. Put your analyst hat on for me.
Sure.
Is the Liberal Party going to win, Bennelong?
Look, I think so. I hope so. John Alexander's been an outstanding local MP, a really hard-working local MP and loved by the community by all reports. So I'm hopeful that he'll get over the line on Saturday.
Is that 50-50 poll, the news poll today, in that seat? It's a poll taken specifically in Bennelong. Do you think that's accurate, 50-50?
I would hope not. I would hope that John Alexander has a stronger level of support in that seat. But as you know, Raf, by-elections are volatile and variable, and you do get stronger swings there than you do at a normal election. So the swing could be that strong. I don't know. I think that John Alexander will get back, though, with more than 50-50 support.
If he does, there's a Senate vacancy in New South Wales. I don't know how well you know Christina Keneally, the former New South Wales Premier, but if she took that Senate spot, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Facing off against her across the chamber?
Yeah, I'd be very surprised, Raf, if she was not a senator by about January or February next year. I think that's a very clear path for her. They clearly want her in federal parliament, fair enough, and I think they'll take any opportunity. So the voters of Bennelong, if they do like Christina Keneally, need not worry. She'll be finding her way to federal parliament some way or somehow, I suspect.
It does seem like a neat fit. Who knows if it'll happen? Just finally, the Prime Minister, well, he's making some very, very soft, gentle noises, maybe supporting a federal ICAC or IBAC. Do you think that's going to happen?
I'm not sure. I think we need to be very careful not to replicate the New South Wales model on a national level, though, because I think that has led to some travesties of justice. I think it has led to some breaches of individual rights. I wouldn't want to see a body like that replicated at the federal level.
But that's a change, isn't it? I haven't really heard the federal government being interested in any type of federal anti-corruption body. Does that mean that you'd be open to a federal anti-corruption body that was similar to Victoria's?
I think it's fair to say, Raf, that we haven't been convinced that there's a compelling evidence of corruption at the federal level that suggests there's a need for it. But I think probably a few people after the Sam Dastyari affair are reconsidering that point of view. So
not convinced of a need for it, but open to it? Is that fair?
Well, I can't speak on behalf of the government. As I said,
tell me your personal opinion. That's okay.
Well, I don't want to see anything that would resemble the New South Wales model at the federal level, and I'd want to be convinced that there is a compelling need to have it, because federal ICACs are basically standing royal commissions with extraordinary legal powers that we would never give to a police force, for example. So we should be very careful about deploying them. They're not something that should just be deployed in response to a headline or a single story.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Raf.
Senator James Paterson, one of the Liberal senators here in the state of Victoria.